Hey everyone, Romy here, and today I'm going to show you how to install Ubuntu on an external SSD so you can run Linux on your PC without touching your Windows installation. Yes, we're going to be using a Windows device, not a Mac OS. So this is perfect if you want to experiment with Linux, run AI models locally, or even set up a dedicated server, all while keeping Windows safe on your internal drive. So in this tutorial, we'll be using the Nemo N100 mini PC, and it has 16 gigabytes of RAM, but this process works for pretty much any computer. So let's get started. Before we begin, here's what you'll need. Whatever computer you're using, Windows of course, I'll be using the N100 mini PC. Mine has 16 gigabyte of RAM and a 1 terabyte internal SSD, which is running Windows. But we won't be touching that at all as it relates to the internal SSD. Second, you'll need an external SSD. I have this 128 gigabyte SSD. It is in a USB enclosure, so this is where Ubuntu will be installed. Third, a USB flash drive, at least 8 gigabytes, so you can create the Ubuntu installer. And of course, a keyboard and mouse and a monitor. So now we need to download Ubuntu. Open your browser and go to this link that I'll be providing here on screen. Click on download Ubuntu. We're using 24.04 LTS. LTS stands for long-term support, which means this version will receive updates for 5 years. The download is about 5 to 6 gigabytes, so this might take a while or a few minutes depending on your internet speed. I'll do my best to fast forward mine here. You can just skip to the end as when it's finished. So while that's downloading though, we can also download Rufus, which is the tool that we'll use to create our bootable USB. So we go to rufus.ie and download the latest version. I'm downloading the portable version, which doesn't require installation at all. And you can save both files somewhere that is easy to find. I'm putting mine in my downloads folder on my PC. Alright, now that our downloads are complete, let's create the bootable USB installer. So insert your USB flash drive. Keep in mind, everything on this drive will be erased. Make sure you've backed up any important files. Now open Rufus. If Windows asks for permission, click yes. And here's how to configure it. For a device, select your USB flash drive from the drop-down. For boot selection, select the select button and navigate to where the downloaded Ubuntu ISO file. Select it and click open. For partition scheme, make sure it's set to GPT. For target system, select UEFI, non-CSM, so UEFI, and you can leave everything else as default settings. Double check that you've selected the correct USB drive, then click start. A pop-up will appear asking about the write mode. Select write ISO image mode and click OK. You'll get one final warning that all data on the USB will be destroyed. Beforehand, you better ensure that you selected the right USB device if you have multiple plugged into your device. If it is the correct one, click OK to proceed. Now Rufus will write the Ubuntu installer to a USB drive, and this takes about 5 to 10 minutes, so I'll speed through this part. When it's done, you'll see ready in the status bar. Click close and safely eject your USB drive. Perfect. Our bootable USB is ready. Alright, so now we're going to prepare my mini PC. I'm plugging in the external SSD enclosure. This is where Ubuntu will be installed, and also plugging in our bootable USB installer that we just created. Make sure that you have your keyboard and mouse and your monitor connected. you need to enter the BIOS to change a few settings. So I'm already powered on, so I'll just do a restart, and then you can start tapping your delete key repeatedly. It depends, some systems it might be F2, but keep pressing until the BIOS screen appears. When we're in BIOS, you can use the arrow keys to navigate to the boot tab. First, we need to make sure boot mode is set to UEFI, not legacy or CSM. Mine is already set there. Next, you can find Secure Boot. This is usually under the Security tab. We need to disable Security Boot for Ubuntu to install properly. I'm setting this to disabled, and if you see an option for Fast Boot, disable that as well. Now, let's save our changes. You press F10 or look for Save and Exit and confirm by selecting Yes, and the system will now reboot. As the system restarts, we need to access the boot menu. So start tapping F11 or F12 depending on your system repeatedly, and the exact key varies by your manufacturer, so just try both keys, whichever works. And perfect. The boot menu appeared. Here, you can see all the available boot devices. Look for your USB drive. It should say something like UFA USB or show your USB brand name if you have a special brand. Now you select it by using the arrow keys and you press enter. Now we're loading the Ubuntu installer from our USB drive, and you'll see this purple and orange Ubuntu screen. That's exactly what we want. After a moment, you'll see the grub menu with try or install Ubuntu already selected. Just press enter. Ubuntu is now loading. It takes about 30 seconds to a minute. Perfect. Ubuntu has loaded, and we're now running what's called a live environment. Now this Ubuntu running entirely from the USB drive in RAM, nothing is installed as yet. The installer should launch automatically. If it doesn't, look for an icon on the desktop that says Install Ubuntu 24.04 and double click it. On my side here, it's on my bottom right, so here's the installer. The next screen asks if we want to install recommended proprietary software. This includes drivers for Wi-Fi, graphics cards, and other hardware. I definitely recommend checking this box to ensure everything works properly. Click Next. Now this is the critical part, the installation type screen. We have three options here: install Ubuntu alongside Windows Boot Manager, erase disk and install Ubuntu, and manual installation. Since we want to install Ubuntu on our external SSD and keep Windows completely untouched on the internal drive, we need to make sure we're selecting the right drive. I'm going to choose erase disk and install Ubuntu. But, and this is crucial, we need to make absolutely sure we select the correct disk. Now, we're at the user account setup screen. First, enter your real name. This is just for display purposes. Or if you want to use another name, you can go ahead. Next, your computer's name. This identifies your PC on the network. I'm calling mine, as you can see here. And you can use lowercase and no spaces, it's up to you. Then you can pick a username. This is what you'll type when logging in. Now create a strong password. You'll need this every time you log in, so make sure it's memorable but secure. Confirm your password by typing it again. There's a checkbox here for Use Active Directory. Leave this unchecked. Active Directory is for corporate networks and we don't need it for this setup. You can click Next. Now you'll see a summary of all your choices: the time zone, keyboard layout, what will be installed, and which disk Ubuntu is going to. Double check everything looks correct, especially that it's installing to your external SSD, then click Install. And now, the installation begins. You'll see a progress bar along with a slideshow highlighting Ubuntu's features. This process takes about 10 to 20 minutes, depending on your drive speed and system. So I'll just fast forward to this part, but this is a great time to grab a cup of coffee, or just go ahead and like the video, leave a comment if you made it this far, and watch what else you'd like for me to experiment with on this Linux platform or overall in my next YouTube video. And we're done. The installation is complete. The installer is prompting for us to restart. You click restart now. You'll see a message saying, please remove the installation medium, then press enter. Remove your USB installer drive, and then you press enter. Remember, this is the one that you use. This is the bootable drive, not your external SSD that has Linux on there. The system will reboot. Now there's something important. Your computer might boot back into Windows. Don't panic. This is normal. It's because Windows is still set as the primary boot device in your BIOS. If this happens, we need to change the boot order. That's up to you. I'll be leaving mine, but you can restart the computer and press delete or F2 to enter the BIOS again. You can go to your boot tab and look for boot priority or boot order, whichever name shows for you. And you can see your external SSD listed there. Move it into position 1, which is going to be first in the boot order, and then your internal Windows drive should be position 2. You can save and exit, press F10 and confirm. For me, instead of changing the boot order, I'll just be pressing F11 each time I start the computer and manually select which drive to boot from. This way I can choose between Ubuntu and Windows at startup. I prefer doing this method because I'll be using both, but in most cases I want to leave my main, which is this mini PC was initially Windows. I'll leave it as the way it was. And here we are, the Ubuntu login screen. Remember, enter the password you created during installation and press enter. Welcome to Ubuntu. You'll see a quick setup result for the first time users. For online accounts, I'm going to click skip. You can set this up later if you want. For live patch, I'll click next. This is also optional. And help Ubuntu improve, you can choose whatever you're comfortable with here. Privacy settings, again, this is your choice. I'm clicking next. And we're done with the setup result. Click done. And that's it. We've successfully installed Ubuntu 24.04 on an external SSD without touching our Windows installation. Now you have the flexibility to boot into Ubuntu when you need it for whatever development. So if this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tutorials on Linux, AI, and self-hosting projects. Drop a comment below if you have any questions or if there's something specific that you'd like me to cover in our future videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.